man, Ryan. Don't you love how Bop It is Bop It because the big Bop It text in the middle of that big Bop It button is the Bop It vocal drum Bop It sound effect is Bop It?
Yeah, I know, Kenny. It's awesome.
Yeah. I feel like we're supposed to be doing something right now.
Yeah.
Don't you, Ryan?
Yeah, I just don't know what.
I think I'm forgetting something. Wait, what's this little thing on the top right of my screen? Wait. Recording in progress? Game bar? Why would that be happening? Do you know, Ryan?
I don't know. I feel like... Oh, I think I know what's going on.
What?
I think we're supposed to be recording the second episode of the Bop It Bopcast.
Yeah, buddy! Hey guys, my name is Kenny, and welcome back to the Bop It Bopcast Episode 2, the series that I killed off because I thought the first episode did trash, when in reality, comparing it to a lot of my Bop Dive episode numbers, it actually did better. And also, I kind of enjoyed doing this series more because I find it more interesting, and podcasts are cool, and combining with electronic games makes it just the bit more awesome. See, my burps agree. Today, on episode 2, my special guest is Ryan from RyanPlaysBopIt. Say hi, Ryan.
Hi.
Yep. He also has RyanPlaysBopItExtra, RyanPlaysBopItBeats, and RyanPlaysShmoppIt. But 2 of those aren't really, huge.
Yeah.
I just shouted them out anyway because they exist. Now, you might be thinking, Kenny, why would you have Ryan again? You had Ryan your last time. Well, that's because since we killed off the series, we gotta revive it by starting with good old Ryan and giving him a second chance. Because Ryan, you did a really good job the last time.
I know.
Such a good job.
Like, so good. I did everything in one
Plus all the outtakes, so definitely like maybe 47 million. But we're gonna redeem Ryan today, and in episode 3 we will have new special guests here. But now, without further ado, let's dive into the topic of today's episode. So today we are going to be talking about very rare, like very, very rare, and very obscure electronic games. Mostly very rare, however we have like 2 or 3 that are very obscure to show you guys. And I guarantee that you guys have not heard of any of these games. If you've heard of any of them, you've heard of like 1 or 2. And you only know a little bit about it. But today, we're gonna fill you in about these electronic games and tell you more about them. So without further ado, let's get on into it. Are you ready, Ryan?
I am so ready.
Alright, let's do this. Alright guys, so what we have here for you guys, if I didn't already say, is we have 10 rare and honestly some obscure electronic games. Now I'm trying to talk really loudly because you might be hearing my computer fan right now because Game Bar's annoying and the way it works. Anyways, now that that's out of the way, I'm going to start with the first one. And the first one is just a pretty rare one. Like, you might know a little something about it, but it's pretty rare. And that is the musical Marvin game from Entix, released in 1980. This game takes 6 AA batteries, which aren't included, and his name's Marvin, and he's musical. And it has 6 different game modes to play around with. One of them is like a Simon type game mode. One of them is a mode where you can create, like, I think it's a 64 note pattern, and I guess it's like a music maker kind of in a way. And then one is like musical chairs, which is also pretty interesting. Now it does have 3 other modes that might be like Code Buster and just other random stuff in the way they work, but they're more complicated, so I'm not really going to talk about them in the sense on how they work. But this is a very unknown electronic game. Not really many people talk about it. I don't think we have a commercial for it or anything. It's just a pretty obscure electronic game, but seems pretty cool. And I'd love to get my hands on one, but honestly, they're really expensive due to them being rare, right, Ryan? Don't you love the price
Exactly.
tag?
I know, like so cheap. You get them for $1 free shipping.
Yep, for sure. They're definitely
Yeah.
not like $200 enough.
Woo!
But yeah, that is the musical Marvin. Alright, Ryan, take it over with the next rare / obscure electronic game.
Alright, this next game is called Bullseye Bounce and Roll. It was released in 2005 by Hasbro and Play School. It reminds me of the Bullseye ball, except you can roll it into the targets and bounce it into the target. So it reminds me of skee ball in the way that you can roll it into the targets. There are 3 game modes. The first one being called Target Practice, which reminds me of practice on the Bullseye ball. Game 2 is called Match Me, which reminds me of Target Master from the Bullseye ball. And Game 3 is called High Score Challenge, which reminds me of 30-second blitz from the Bullseye ball, but you have 45 seconds. This game takes 3 AA batteries, which are not included. Alright, Kenny, what's the next game?
Alright, yeah, good job, Ryan. And this one's definitely... What?
No, nothing. I had to hold my breath there.
Okay, I was gonna say, yeah, good job, and, you know, this one's honestly a bit more obscure, if you guys couldn't tell, because it's a bit more common to find, but, you know, you might not know anything about it just because, you know, it's so obscure. Alright, let's do the next game. Alright, so the next one is both rare and obscure. Again, mostly obscure, but also pretty rare. And this is called Quack, Quack, Goose, and it was from Mattel in 2001. It has 3 AA batteries, which are included, so kerosene time, if you get one new. Alright, so this one has 3 game modes. The first game mode is called Find the Goose, and basically how it works is you're going to tag the ducks until you find the goose. Once you find the goose, you gotta tag the goose before it runs back home. Game 2 is called Find the Duck, and the way it works is kind of like a combined ear shift and Henry type deal, where you have to like listen up for the missing duck to help the mama find her duckling, and I guess once you find the duckling you win. We really don't know much else about that one. And game 3 is called Ducks in a Row, and it's just Simon with ducks. So yeah, basically just classic Simon mode. And this one seems very intriguing, and could be a really cool one for maybe Ryan to get his hands on, I feel like. And maybe show you guys if he did. Alright, Ryan, what is the next game?
Alright, this next game is called Reactor. It was released in 2005 by Tiger and Hasbro. We don't really know how this game works, but we do know the game modes. The first game is called Reactor, and it kind of works like Balzerco, if you know what that is. Game 2 is called Crusher. It pretty much works like where you grip it as hard as possible. It's like a workout type game. And Game 3 is called Hyperspin. How it works is you have to spin it as fast as possible. It kind of works like Hula Hipster slightly. This game takes 2 AAA batteries, which are not included. Alright, that was a cool game. What's the next game, Kenny?
Yeah, I agree. Really cool game. Alright, let's see what the next game is. Okay, so the next game is very obscure, and I swear there's like no videos on this thing and barely any info, but we do have the full instruction manual, which has helped us out a good ton with this one. And that is the Rugrats Flicker Flasher from Tiger Electronics, and it was released in 1998. It has 3 AA batteries, which are not included, and it looks a little bit like the Harry Potter Magical Spell Challenge one, but it's Rugrats themed and has like Rugrats characters on it. Now it has 6 game modes. That's right, 6. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't even know what I'm doing. But anyways, the first mode is called Follow the Leader, and it basically is Simon. Game 2 is Code Buster, but something really interesting about this Code Buster that I really like is you obviously have the single player function where, you know, you're cracking the code yourself. But there's a 2-player function where one person actually creates a pattern and then the other person has to crack the code. And that's actually really cool, I think. And game 6, which I'm also going to talk about, is called Chaser, thank you, Ryan. It's called Chaser, and it basically works like whack-a-mole, essentially, where one pops up. Well, it doesn't really pop up, but it lights up. You press it, and the next one, next one, next one, next one. Now, I will bring up the other game modes, but I'm not really directly talking about them. There's a mode that actually works kind of like hot potato, And then game 4 and 5, I believe, are a bit confusing and just don't really make sense in the way they work. It's like a multiplayer thing only, where each person puts like a finger on the character and it disappears and that person's out and stuff. So that's really confusing. But that is the Rugrats Flicker Flasher. Very odd game. Just really interesting. It's very multiplayer dependent. I'm pretty sure half of the modes at least are multiplayer only, so it's very interesting. But that is the Rugrats Flicker Flasher. Alright, Ryan, what is the next electronic game?
Alright, this next game is called Lights Out Cube. It was released in 1997 by Tiger Electronics. Game 1 has 54 pre-programmed puzzles for you to solve. Game 2 has thousands of pre-programmed puzzles for you to solve. And Game 3 is a multiplayer game where one player creates their own puzzle for the other person to solve. Yeah, this game is pretty cool and is also rare and obscure. It takes 3 AA batteries, which are not included. Alright, Kenny, take it on. What's the next game?
Cube me up! Cube me around! I don't know what I'm doing, but yeah, pretty cool version of Lights Out, and definitely very obscure. Alright, let's see what this next game is gonna be. Okay, so the next game is going to be very quick and simple, but the problem is, we don't know much about it, so there's not much we can really say about it. It's the Simon 2/Simon Squared keychain. And no, I'm not talking about the Simon Pocket from 2002 that was released for the 25th anniversary. I'm talking about an actual Simon 2 keychain, which is probably the rarest Simon other than the iSimon, if that's even real, which it probably is. Basically, this is a just tiny Simon 2. I'm assuming it takes 3 LR44 button cell batteries, which probably are included, and it was made by Hasbro in 2002, kind of like the Bopcast game watch. It's like a clamshell, and it has a key ring, and on one side it's got that watch face, on the other side there's an 8-button side with a little start button, which is also, I'm guessing, the power on button. We don't know how many game modes there are, or how they work, or if they're different than how they actually work on the actual Simon 2, but I'm assuming it at least has double Simon. Alright, Ryan, what is the next electronic game? Now, since that one is a really rare one, we don't know much about it, so let's just see what the next game is gonna be.
Alright, this next game is called Optics. It was released in 2004 by Character Options. This game has 2 game modes, and before I go to the game modes, I gotta point out that this game really looks like Brain Bolt. And if you don't know what Brain Bolt looks like, look it up. Game 1 kind of, I think, works like a Brain Bolt, but you only have 1 minute to get as much as you can. And Game 2 might work like a Simon, but it might also work like a Brain Bolt, but you have infinite time to get as much as you can. This game takes 3 AA batteries, which are included, so, like Kenny said, what did I think Quack like this? Battery corrosion! Alright, what's the next game then?
Yuppie, and since you yelled in your mic, you're definitely not really quiet now, Ryan, but that's alright. Now come on, oh yeah, oh yeah. You know, have you noticed how there hasn't been any Bopcast on this list yet? Kind of interesting. Maybe Bopcast just aren't rare enough. But anyways, yep, that is the optical illusion of my life. And now let's see what the next electronic game is. Okay, so the next game is called Pop Swap, and you might have heard a little bit about this, and Cheap Boys in the House might be getting one. But anyways, this game basically is say what? Say what? Say what? Yeah, basically a say what, but it was released in 2009 by Mattel, and it has 3 AA batteries that aren't included, and yeah, Mattel/Reactor, blah blah blah, I hear you, whatever. Anyways, it's basically a say what in the way it works. It only has 1 mode, but instead of using like the movable ball things that the say what has, this one just uses like buttons. If you don't know what say what is, that's basically just a game where you rearrange sentences and you gotta put them in the right order and a time limit and all that jilly jazz. And that's really all I can say about Pop Swap. It's not really a ripoff, but it's kind of just the same thing. So yeah, moving along to the final electronic game that we have on this list. Alright, Ryan, tell us all about it.
Wow, Kenny, that was a nice tune you played right there.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Man, I love this thing. Wait, I think we're forgetting something.
Yeah, you're right. Oh yeah, we're supposed to film the last scene for the Bopcast, episode 2.
Oh yeah, you're right. Wait. It's a good thing I have this. And why is that, Ryan?
It's cause the next game is called Beat Repeat It. It was released in 1999 by Tiger Electronics. It looks like a keyboard with DJ pads and stuff like that. It has 6 musical modes revolving around matching musical and voice cues, and sometimes creating your own music. This game comes with 4 AA batteries that are most likely mounted. Yeah, we don't know too much about this, but hey, it's the best we got.
And you guys got a pretty little cool skit out of it too, so it's all that matters, like my birth. Yeah, beat it. I'm gonna beat it. I'm gonna beat it. I'm gonna beat it and repeat it. Okay, I think we should now wrap this up. Well, alright everyone, that is going to conclude episode 2 of the Bopcast. Isn't that right, Ryan?
Yeah, we are finished.
This video is finished. And I had a blast recording it. It was really fun. There were some funny outtakes, but definitely went way smoother than the first episode. And be on the lookout for episode 3, because one of you who have commented on my community tab post will be picked to be featured in episode 3. What will the topic be? I guess that will soon be revealed in the comment section when I tell you you've been picked. Yeah!
Yeah!
Yeah! So thank you guys for watching episode 2 of the Bopcast. And I'm Kenny, and I'm out. How about you, Ryan?
I'm Ryan, and I'm out. Yeah, I'm you out.
Where did Ryan go? What? Man, I feel like this happened before. There's like deja vu. Whatever. Guess that's just gonna conclude the Bopcast. Bye, guys.